Hey everyone, welcome back. And I'm John Dupuy still, and this is the partial, good part of the WeAwake team, Louis and Vanessa and Savi and Pam. And yeah, this is our weekly WeAwake, where we take one of the tracks that we've been producing over the years at WeAwake Technologies and meditate together. And one of the things, these tracks have sounds. Most of them do. I think we produced ones that didn't have any sound early on with subtle energy, but I'm not sure we do that anymore. I have some in my files, but these are sound. But remember, these sounds shouldn't be a distraction. The sound should be the container for inner stillness. Okay, I'm gonna look at it that way, and that's certainly the way it works for me these days. And today we're going to do track 4 of Profound Releasing, which was created by my dear friend Joseph, or Joe KO, from the UK, who's in London. And I visited him recently, and it was amazing. The first time we'd actually met in person, and it was great. We went to the reconstructed Shakespearean theater on the banks of the Thames, and he's a Shakespearean actor, and so it was so cool, so beautiful to see that and see this building that so much of I don't know, our culture and literature in the English speaking world, but Shakespeare has been translated into God knows how many languages, so it's a part of world culture. And anyway, that was cool. Then we sat on the bank of the Thames right outside the Globe Theater, and we recited poetry to each other. He would recite Shakespeare, and I would recite Bible chapters. So it was a beautiful thing. So anyway, I loved him on Zoom, and I still love him anyway. But it was great seeing him. And this particular track, 2 of the tracks in this set have guided meditations by Joe, and he is a very gifted hypnotherapist, as well as a creator of brain entrainment technology. This particular track doesn't have the guided meditations, but it is, let me make sure I get this right. It entrains to theta, delta, beta, and gamma simultaneously, because that's what the brain does. Usually it's not just one track, but you'll have one brainwave, rather, but one will dominate, and then you'll have others, and it's kind of, that mix is very important. So that's what we're doing here. And these are it's called Profound Releasing, and it certainly works that way. And remember, let's just think of in this meditation, but anyway, set our intention to find inner peace. Okay. And that's one of the greatest gifts of meditation. You can get to that place deep inside of you. And it says in the Bible somewhere, a peace that passeth all understanding. So no matter what your cognitive or what's going on the outside, there's a place inside of us where we can reach deep, beautiful, life-affirming peace, no matter what we may be going through or experiencing, right? Because life is rough, and has a lot of glorious things, but has a lot of tragic and hard things too. But we can find that. So why don't we just dedicate our hearts and minds to finding that inner peace in this meditation together and individually, and being able to take that peace out into the rest of our lives. So without further ado, let's get this thing going. Well, welcome back, everyone. And yeah, thank you, everybody that made that trek possible. Um, yeah, and I was saying before that I think one of the purposes is more and more meditation does a lot of things. And meditating with this technology does a lot of things too. And but one of the most important things for me at this point is just that deep descent into the presence of God, Spirit. The, the Buddhists call it emptiness, and other mystics might say absolute fullness. It's all part of the same mystery. But one time I had a vision in my mind's eye, a submarine. Okay, and this is probably a pretty modern submarine because in the early days of submarines, they couldn't go very deep, but the ones they got today can go really, really deep. So on the surface, you could have a typhoon or a hurricane or huge storms, and if you were up there, you'd just be tossed around, like a piece of flotsam or wood in a fast running river. But if you go down, I think the early submarines go down like maximum like 400 feet or so. I mean, you could still probably feel the effects of storms up above. When you get down deep enough, man, I mean, you might feel currents and stuff that are part of the depth, but you're not touched by the storm. And I think we're both, we have to live in this life and experience it, the duality of things, this and that, life and death, hate and love, joy, tragedy, all these different dualities. And yeah, that's the experience of being alive. But when we descend into the depths of our own being, which connects with the ground of being, that makes the living complete. So you can experience both those things in just one side of the street. The dual thing is ultimately it just doesn't work without a sense of the deeper connection and the unity of all things. So in this, and what I've been learning more and more is that as we live and evolve and grow, I think the universe pushes us there whether we want to or not. But if we do consciously or selectively, we choose to evolve, we choose to grow, we go through experience after experience of purification and challenges that arise, and that we work through and we deal with, and we transmute into something else. And as Dr. Christopher Bass says in his many powerful spiritual experiences, he found that your individual self is not the enemy. Okay, maybe your false self, all your neurotic and your stories and these things that keep us prisoners, right, in our own minds. But the deep, essential individual self seems to be one of the things that the universe is really excited about producing. And the problem with the individuality is not that it's individual, because each snowflake is its own precious, glorious part of the whole. But it is when the individual gets separated from the all. So when we can put those both together, I think that's really the kind of the outcome of deep spiritual realization, when we realize that our individual selves is not the enemy. In fact, it's an absolutely miraculous expression of the creative drive and love of the universe. But at the same time, it is all just like holograms. Remember when you first heard about a hologram? Well, maybe people haven't heard about it, but this came out, I don't know, 20, 30 years ago. And it's a type of photography where they use several different camera lenses projecting light from different perspectives at the same time. And it creates a 3D image. You can see the back, the front, the up and the down. It's all there, not just, one-dimensional or two-dimensional, but which is pretty cool. And they're very cool. But what is really amazing is when you take that plate or that thing that the 3D image has been created on, say on a holographic, and you take a little piece of my forehead and then you shine light through that, it recreates the whole image. Every little piece contains the whole image. Not exactly as clear, as precise as the bigger image, but absolutely contains the whole image. So that is a really interesting metaphor that's come out of science, in the last 40 or 50 years, that helps us understand how we can be the individual little piece, yet at the same time we're the whole. And when I've had a lot of experiences of spirit. Started when I was really young, and I often said I'm haunted by God, because you have these experiences and then you come back to your normal life. And, oh my God, how do I put this together? Well, my whole life has been a quest of how to put those together. But when I first started using this technology, gosh, I don't know how many years ago, maybe 15 years ago. Gosh, it's probably a lot more than that. I've probably been saying 15 years for a long time. So in the first couple of days, I had this incredibly powerful revelation or experience. And I just realized the all of everything. And I was that, okay? And I was this little piece of divinity in the vast, infinite ocean of light and love that was the ground of being, if you will. But at the same time, the message was, oh, and by the way, your little individual spark or whatever it is hugely significant and important, okay? And it's not to be lost in the big oceanic experience. It actually is to be cultivated through that experience. So, yeah. And the work is to work on your individual self, your all neuroses, your fears, your things in the past that have formed in some kind of false neurotic structure that we use to protect ourselves, I suppose, and to release that stuff, so that the individual purity and beauty of your essential self is clarified, ever more clarified and purified, and becomes brighter and wiser and more loving and more absolutely experientially connected to the great everything, okay? Which you know, and shorthand, I'll call God. Okay, you can call it whatever you want. So, oh, and this is the other thing. And it's not just like, ding, okay, I got it. I'm enlightened. Well, what, you know, go back to sleep. No, is the revelation just keeps going on and on and on and on. And Dr. Christopher Bache's book that we had an amazingly powerful conversation on the Deep Transformation podcast with myself and Roger Walsh. Check that out. And also, I am studying the works of H.A. Almas of the Diamond Approach. I'm reading his latest work. What is it called? I don't know what it's called, but it was published in 1917. But oh my gosh, it's a very slow read for me, because in fact, when I go back and look at it, I look at the things that aren't underlined, because everything else is underlined to see what's going on. No, but that exact same thing, he says, you know, whether you have an experience of sunyata or emptiness, as the Buddhists talked about, or if you have a more Christian revelation, they're all part of it. And if you say, oh, well, my particular enlightenment experience is the only one, then all of a sudden you become dual. You know, you become this and that again, and you start making a hierarchy, and we are able and allowed to experience enlightenment in all its beautiful, infinitely unfolding experiences and manifestations. So life after life, on and on and on. So it can be infinitely beautiful and infinitely revelatory. So let's stay on the path and work through our stuff and take that submarine down to our deepest depths, so that our soul batteries can be recharged in our unity and deep, great love and peace that we encounter, that so that we can come back up and express that in the really interesting multiplicity of evolving universe. So I think that's probably more than enough for today. Anyway, thank you guys. Love you. And yeah, keep doing the work.